What to do about mom and dad? That's a question lots of baby boomers are asking as we tend to aging parents. Saul Simon, private wealth advisor with Lincoln Financial's, here to share some advice. Saul, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
We have probably the largest segment of our population now, the baby boomers, the sandwich generation. We've got grown kids and parents that are aging, are living longer. And this has created a big issue with dealing with mom and dad when they can't take care of their own finances.
That's right.
I would imagine the biggest issue is just having the conversation.
Yeah, many people don't actually sit down and have the conversation with their parents, maybe before the age of 70. And the reason for that is it's either a difficult subject to have. And the reason why I say the age 70 is because at some point when you start to talk about elder law planning and gifting and protecting the net worth and assets of the parents, we really need to have the conversation early so that they don't feel threatened, so that they don't feel that the kids are looking to take the money away.
Right.
Number one. Number two, it's really important from an understanding or control perspective so that mom and dad actually is able to communicate who gets what, who will be doing what. You know, sometimes I'm one of 4 brothers, and number 3 is going to be handling the estate, the execution or the administration, as an example. And maybe number 2, or me being the oldest, is going to handle maybe the duties of a power of attorney or a living will.
Well, parents will have a better idea of who's going to handle what.
Absolutely.
They know you guys better than you know yourselves.
Of course they do. And you know what happens when it comes to money? Very often, there's a lot of animosity after mom and dad pass on, which then ends up, it's not fair. It's sad that families break down. And that goes for the children, the nephews, or the cousins, having these conversations that I wasn't treated fairly or equally. Sometimes there's a social worker as a child versus a doctor. And maybe the doctor in these times may be financially better off than maybe a social worker or someone working in a different occupation.
So should it be the parents actually that start having these conversations early?
Yeah, absolutely. One of the things I do is actually bring families together. I bring clients together to actually help objectively have the conversation so that mom and dad have an intention and the children have an understanding as to what it is that mom and dad would like to have fulfilled their goals and objectives.
Give me your nightmare scenario, the downside of not having had that conversation.
Confusion, misunderstandings, fights, legal fees, battles, families being destroyed over money. And sometimes it's the principle. It's not necessarily there's such a large estate that there is fighting and animosity.
Maybe just a small piece of property.
That's right. And that goes for maybe a second home or a vacation home. I'm living in Michigan, and I'm never going to go to, say, the Jersey Shore, yet the children are equally responsible for taking care of that property. And maybe one child wants to be bought out, or maybe there's no funds. The question is, Mom, Dad, what did you want me to do? What did you want us to do? And who is this for the benefit of?
Is there a difference in terms of how families handle it between families of means and those who don't have means?
I would say the answer is yes. Yes. Very often, not only the qualitative conversation should take place, but also very often from a trust perspective, using a legal document called a trust shelters the asset so that future in-laws or a daughter-in-law, a son-in-law, they like me today. In the future, they may not like us. And very often, if we have assets that we want to go in stirpies in passing on to my blood lineage of my child and my grandchild, these trust documents are able to shelter the asset from creditors and predators so that if, God forbid, an accident takes place, this particular asset is not taken away from them and forced sale.
Obviously, that's a benefit for wealthy families. But for working class families, this is something they need, and a conversation they need to have as well.
That's absolutely right. The concept of a trust, I'll give you an example. Everybody has a trust. If you have an IRA account, believe it or not, that's a trust. The documentation and language says that if I take this money out before 59 and a half, there's a 10% penalty. And I'm required to take out these funds at the age of 70 and a half. So a trust is not only for the wealthy, and which leads me from legal documents that people should absolutely make sure that their wills are up to date, their powers of attorney are up to date, and their living wills are up to date, and more importantly, that they have these documents in place. Especially if you have children, because we need to have these documents in place for the children.
What do you say to parents? What kind of guidelines do you give them for how you pick which child is going to handle what?
That's a great question. So sometimes children or one of the children tends to not have a great relationship with others, or maybe there's a little animosity between some of the kids, and maybe there's a child that happens to have a rapport with everyone. And you know, and I know that parents know that children, they know who's okay and who they could trust. Right. And very often when it comes to a living will, which is making some very difficult decisions, to follow my instructions with regards to, do they pull the plug, do they feed me, do they give me the requirements that I request, I know who I should turn to, who's going to be logical, who's not going to follow their emotions, and they're actually going to follow what mom and dad's wishes are.
Well, those are difficult decisions.
We're getting older. It's planning. It's dotting our I's and crossing our T's and looking out for the future.
And starting right now. Saul, great to have you. I hope you'll come back and share some more with us. That's an interesting topic, and certainly we could spend a lot more time with it.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you.